Ojukwu was in the north when Kaduna and Uzogwu struck.
Yeah, he was in Kano.
Kaduna and Uzogwu was in Kaduna.
Yes, it was.
How is it that Ojukwu did not know that a coup was going to take place?
Well, one may get feelers, but no coup planner will be, sorry to use the word, daft as to expose their plan. So it's always kept close to the chest, known only to the inner members of the planners. So Ojukwu wasn't aware, but it was already in the air. As of December 1965, anybody could pick that Nigeria was getting to the precipice.
Operation Wet Here
Oh, God.
must have been the trigger.
That was it.
Because when we discuss the Civil War,
yes,
we tend to forget that the problem started from the Western region.
Because of the unnecessary intervention of the Tafawa Balewa-led federal government into the affairs of Western region.
Sending Awolowo to prison.
Thank you. Then number two, Action Group Party, like any political party in the world, had internal crisis, whereby the party leadership expelled the deputy national president of the party, Chief Samuel Ladoke Akitola, who happened to be the premier of Western region. So the contention was Akitola should abide, because Nigeria was running the parliamentary system then, should abide with the constitution. That is, once your party says you are expelled, then you go to the polls in the assembly and you test your popularity. But if the odds is against you, you go. But Akintola refused to go.
He was backed by the federal power.
Because he had run to Ahmadu Bello first and then Tafawa Balewa, and they promised him, don't fear. If they expel you on paper, they won't be able to expel you on the ground.
And those three musketeers were taken down by the so-called Igbo military officers.
Yes, they were. But
were they fighting for Awolowo?
From the record and his history background, Chukwuma Kadunaide Uzogwu was a revolutionary, like the Sankara mode. So he was sincere. That's why his speech generally was talking about corruption, and corruption. But if only the Ironsi, the head of GOC of the army, had not been given power by the Senate, and Uzogwu had led the revolution. But why did Uzogwu stay back in Kaduna to kill his mentor?
He was a revolutionary.
Yeah, as it were. Because most of the officers backed out. Who was going to face Ahmadu Bello? Who? They said, no, not me. So everybody backed out. Then he said, I will.
He walked into his bedroom.
He said he will. And what did he do? He now gave the group of soldiers that he took to Sardauna's residence, if after 10 minutes I don't come out, bring this building down. To show you that he had passion for the assignment he took, and he had a hand grade. So at the nick of the 10 minutes which he gave the boys on the ground, he jumped from the upstairs. That's why, if you see that picture, his right hand was in a sling, and the microphone was held for him by Major Hassan Usman Katsina, the military governor.
The boys in Lagos did not carry out the details of the coup. They should have taken out Aguiyi Ironsi. He was the head of the army.
He was. But Aguiyi Ironsi, when they got to his house, like the Abacha episode, Aguiyi Ironsi was at a social party. Aguiyi Ironsi was dancing the night away somewhere.
But some people felt they were weak, because Kaduna Uzogwu did his own job clinically. Then the Eastern region, we should look at it.
Yes. Dr. Michael Opara was the premier. But he was hosting the president of Greece. Yeah, he was hosting, what's his name now? The Greek president, who was on a state visit. And he had escorted him to the airport. Sir Makarios. That's what saved the neck of Opara. But Nigerians didn't want to hear that. They said, you should have gone to the airport let Macarius fly, then do what you did to Premier Ahmadu Bello, Premier Akitola to Premier Opara.
Azikiwe vanished from the country.
Azikiwe got to know he had been given a hint, and he said he was going on a world cruise.
Who gave him a hint?
Everybody has agents everywhere.
But Ahmadu Bello knew there was going to be a coup.
Oh, he was so confident.
He was confident that it was going to happen to him.
And this is the truth. Because Professor Soyinka was marked for execution. Mr. Tasholani was marked for execution for being a thorn in Western region on the Premier and invariably the MPC government. So I went to African Church Grammar School, Apata Ganga Ibadan, for 1964, a border. Soldiers had been positioned inside government college campus.
To do what?
To deal with Western radicals.
So the coup is struck on time.
Then Akitola went on a Friday, on a Thursday. Just the military, the coup was on Saturday, January 15th. Akitola was in Kaduna on Thursday, January 13th. When he got there, they said Ahmadu Bello was here to return from Mecca. Ahmadu Bello was always observing his Jumat in Mecca and Medina. So Akitola had to wait. When he got back, he went to meet Ahmadu Bello at the Kaduna airport. Ahmadu Bello told him, SLA, go back to Ibadan. Put your mind at rest, because they said they had targeted their own to take place on January 17, 1966. So Akitola returned with the hope and the assurance given to him by Sir Ahmadu Bello. So one group executed ahead of the other. There were two groups planning to topple, one to topple Balewa government and the states, and the other one to deal with the so-called radicals who are troubling them.
Eze Keulezi says, how lovely it would be if our politicians were also ordered to give account of their stewardship like Niger. They need this kind of treatment urgently. Let me tell you something. The worst democratic government is better than the military government, from my own opinion.
Chief Awolowo also said that.
So if you are celebrating what's going on in Niger, I'm not with you. Yes, African politicians have messed up the system, but the military will not do better. Have we recovered from that January coup and the counter coup?
If it had been executed the way it was planned to cover the whole country and not leave out a section, Eastern region, that's one. Two, Major Uzogwu in his speech, and I still believe him till tomorrow, was they planned to take Awolowo out of Calabar prison because Awolowo was jailed on trumped-up charges of treasonable felony. Install him, they said they will back him with the military might for about 6 months. Once Awolowo government stabilized, Uzogwu said he was going to resign his commission in the Nigerian army and go to South Africa. That's a radical.
But again, you know, when you gain power,
yes,
it becomes a different ball game. Sylvanus Olympio in Togo was revolutionary. Mm-hmm. When he gained power, Sylvanus Olympio didn't want to live anymore.
We don't know why the black man, on getting power, and it's not only in politics, so social services, commerce, mention it. Once the black man gets power, he's going to change. What's his name?
Sorry, I used the word Sylvanus Olympia. I mean Nyadema.
Oh, the longest.
Yes,
okay,
Nyadema of Togo.
Oh, yeah.
He overthrew Sylvanus Olympio.
That's Nyadema, the friend of Gawan. So, Master Sergeant Samuel Doe.
Yeah.
First night in government house, Liberia.
Yeah.
Because Liberia was, and I think it's still fashioned after the USA. So on his first dinner in government house, chandelier, bright lights, covered, where they put food, everything glowing, glittering. He didn't know, he wasn't aware that there was a steward right behind him on table. So Sergeant told his wife, "Hey, honey, we ain't gonna leave this place in a hurry." Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that.
He told his wife, "Honey, we are not going to leave this place in a hurry." When he saw chicken, baked beans, salmon, milk, is this how they eat? See him. In less than 5 years, he had changed physically.
He became bloated. And he died there.
And he was doing Afro hairstyle. And when Yomi Johnson cut him and brought out the knife and he was cutting his...
He was crying like a baby.
He was saying, Yomi, begging...
That's what power does to Africans.
And they get drunk.
So if Kaduna and Uzogwu had succeeded, perhaps he would have been one of those crazy dictators produced by Africa.
Please, I want... he was my hero. Please don't disrobe him.
Because from what we have seen from history, even in Egypt,
they do so.
None of them want to leave.
They
didn't change their country.
They do so.
So I have this fear that Kaduna and Uzogwu would not have even changed Nigeria.
Now let me defend him, even though he's dead. His mother was always on his neck. Kaduna, please marry now. Look at your mates, they are married. I want to carry my grandchildren. And he would tell his mom, marriage is not the most... Just wait for me, I will marry. But please, don't ask me again about marriage. That's a great man, though. That's a great man, which in all likelihood might not become a despot like the rest of black leaders. Once they get to power, Kamuzu Banda of Malawi.
Mm-hmm. He spent almost 30 years.
Kamuzu Banda, they said he had a woman advisor, Madame Betty or something. That's the nickname. Kamuzu Banda will make sure that every night he visited Madame Betty at her home. And whatever Madame Betty told Kamuzu Banda was law.
Look at the one in Zaire. Mobutu Sese Seko.
When Mobutu was caught in the cornered by
Laurent Kabila.
Thank you. Mobutu. Do you know his name? Original name was something Mobutu. Now, when he added the Sese Seko and he translated it, because journalists once asked him, the foreign journalist said, "Why did you extend your name to Mobutu Sese Seko?" He said Sese Seko in Congolese was the one who destroys and leaves the evidence of destruction with fire.
Look at that one in Central African Republic, John Bender Bokassa,
who clubbed school children for protesting against the quality of the uniform, which the government gave the contract to his wife.
So the point is that Africa has never produced a benevolent military leader.
But let me add this, please. You know, I work with 3 military governors, and they were gentlemen officers.
We are still poor, sir.
Now, let us go beyond politics. Let us go beyond soldiers. 4 things can make any human being drunk.
Like?
Beauty.
Mm-hmm.
If a woman, everybody is telling, baby, you are too great. Oh, my pretty, she's going to become swollen-headed. Intelligence. If they say, no, you're a genius, you can solve physics, mathematics problem in a jiffy. Such a man or woman is going swollen-headed. Money, that's why Yoruba say, don't judge friendship on loyalty when a person is poor. It's when he gets rich. So beauty, intelligence, money, and position will swell anybody's head.
Can we convert beauty to women?
Women.
All right.
No, women who are listening, please. They are my best friend. If there is no woman in a place, I will run away. I love women.
On July 29, 1966, a group of northern soldiers, mainly dominated by officers of northern extraction, executed a counter-coup against the perceived Igbo dominance in the military and political affairs. The counter-coup was brutal and targeted senior Igbo military officers. The mastermind behind the coup, Colonel Murtala Muhammad, along with other northern officers, successfully orchestrated a plan to seize power and restore a more decentralized form of governance. Do not forget, after Major General Johnson Aguiyi Ironsi, an Igbo officer emerged as the head of the military government after the January coup. In an attempt to stabilize the nation and bridge the ethnic divide, Ironsi introduced the Unification Decree 34, which sought to create a centralized unitary government, effectively abolishing the federal structure of Nigeria. This move, while aimed at fostering unity, sparked significant controversy and heightened tensions, particularly among the northern population, who saw it as an infringement on their political power. The assassination of Aguiyi Ironsi at Adekunle Fajui. Now, during the counter-coup, Major General Aguiyi Ironsi was in Ibadan, don't forget that, the capital of Western Nigeria, on an official visit. Like Chief Lekan Alabi has narrated, he was accommodated at the government house in Ibadan, which was the official residence of Colonel Adekunle Fajui, the military governor of Western Nigeria, and a loyal friend and ally of Ironsi. As the coup unfolded, rebel troops surrounded the government house and demanded the surrender of Ironsi. Faced with the choice of handing over his guest or risking a bloodbath, Fajui chose to stand in solidarity with Ironsi, refusing to surrender him to the mutineers. Both Ironsi and Fajui were subsequently arrested. In a tragic turn of events, the two men were killed by the rebel soldiers, highlighting the ruthlessness of the counter-coup and the intensity of the ethnic tensions that had engulfed the nation. Were they killed at Lalukpon or they were dumped at Lalukpon?
And they were killed at Lalukpon because it was dawn. And the long convoy of army jeeps then, if you saw one army jeep in 1966 or pre-1966, you would jump to the other side of the road. Now we talk of a convoy of military vehicles driven by coup plotters operating on that day. So there was a farmer on his farm who, on seeing the long convoy blazing towards him, climbed a tree and saw everything that happened. So after the soldiers had did whatever they thought they had come to do at that spot, the nearest bush where they can finish them off and turn back, the farmer now came down from the tree, went to report to the chief what he saw. So the people quickly gathered and went and saw it. Then they came to Ibadan and told the government, the people handing government, since governor was taken away, the SMG, Secretary to Military Government and Head of Service, was in charge. So a search party was organized. Then Lagos, somebody had called Lagos. That's where they also are implicating Yakubu Gowon, the chief of staff of the army, of complicity, because Ironsi had called his wife that, hey, I'm hearing noises downstairs. I think something is going on here. The wife heard that already and prayed for her husband. So somebody now, they said Gowon now called and asking them, how far are you going? But please, I don't want any bloodshed. Because he has also been a Christian and gentleman. He said that. He was also accused of being contacted by, what's his name now? The man who killed Murtala Mohammed in Lagos, when he ran to the British High Commission and said they should put him online to Gowon. Dimka, thank you. So all these things they had witnesses And people don't just die like that. God knows the way He will let somebody. There will be someone who will have a clue to the answer. And for 3 days, Nigeria had no head of state. For 3 whole days, because Muhammad and his gang called it Araba. They say in their language, Hausa means when you distribute things equally.
They wanted to break away.
Thank you. They had sent their families north. And the intention was, when you get to Ibadan and you are getting to Ilorin, blow up the bridge.
And let's divide Nigeria.
It's gone. That is why in the draft of the speech of Muhammad, which the British High Commissioner and the American ambassador quickly managed, certain pages were not taken off. And that's where Ojukwu cornered Gawan for life. That you said in your maiden broadcast that the basis for unity is no longer there.
Mm-hmm.
That was the original text to have been read by Murtala Mohammed. Bye to Nigeria. Bye. Because they will have taken their pint of blood.
So it was even the North that wanted to break away.
The first time secession was used in this country came from the mouth of Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa.
And the British. And
the
Americans convinced them to stay.
So they,
now that you have the big pie, why do you want to divide it?
Thank you. They now told them, do you know the implication of breaking away? You don't have a seaport. You don't have access to anything. You have not planned.
You are landlocked.
You are landlocked. Then they said...
And there's oil in the Niger Delta.
And then the person who should have taken over after Ironsi was Brigadier Olufemi Ogundipe. But
he chickened out.
He ran. But they advised them. But
he had no option. They were not ready to take orders from him.
It was a sergeant. A sergeant was walking beside his window. And he thought the sergeant was too lackadaisical and all that. And he opened the window and said, hey, the military command, like that the sergeant should please wake up. And the sergeant replied him, hey, brigadier, that, hey, I don't take orders from you. That was the first shock in his life.
He needed to go.
Yeah, time to go. So don't let us talk, say everything on radio. So Nigeria had no head of state for 3 days. So eventually when they negotiated, the American ambassador and the British High Commission, they now settled for the chief of army staff, who had a Muslim name, but was a Christian.
Yakubu.
They said when the Northerners hear Yakubu, they say, power is back to us. That's how Yakubu.
But in the true sense of the word, the Middle Belt carried out that coup.
Oh, they have always been the...
sometimes when we think it's Fulani Hausa.
The mid-belters have always been the ramrod that they will use to knock.
They even fought the war.
Now, they've changed.
Because they've seen the consequences.
You are just using us as a... There's a technical name for when you are using somebody as a battering rod. They have changed in the middle belt. Now they are in the front line for restructuring Nigeria.
Before you go...
Yes.
So you are celebrating Adekunle Fajuyi today?
Oh, with a lecture. But it's going to be a very modest... It's not the typical Nigerian lecture. There will be no opening prayer. There will be no closing prayer. There will be no cultural dances. There will be no speeches and all that. No. Straight, chairman will speak. Brigadier General Oluwole Rotimi is the chairman. He was the chairman when we had the 38th lecture 27 years ago. Then we are now considering, now that I'm in the studio, we may skip the visit to the site, Lalukman site.
Why?
Why? Thank you. In the last 1 month or so, Lalukman Olodo area had been flooded. The bridge that links the two towns has been washed away. And as at last night, the information I got was that the road will be closed for repairs. So instead of going to Lalukman, the spot where Ironsi and Fajuyi were assassinated, we will just observe the silence in our heart, because Fajuyi was a Catholic. So we go straight now to the lecture at 2 p.m.
Where is it holding?
Omajorosun Club. Or if people can please aspire and get a copy of the Nigerian Tribune of today, there's a full-page information at the behest, kindness of the African Newspaper of Nigeria Limited and the chairman, Ambassador Adetokunbo, Olatokunbo, Awolowo Dosunmu. Full page advert, page 3 of today's Tribune. They will see the details.
Lalupon, is there a cenotaph there?
No. It's just a okay. As the Secretary General of Adekunle Fajuyi Foundation, I approached the late Governor Isiaq Abiola Ajimobi. Your Excellency, please, you need to develop tourism in Oyo State, which the present government says they are not going to tap into. Don't let the spot where Fajuyi and Ironsi were assassinated to go into oblivion. Do something about it. And he agreed. So his government did, they just marked the place out. Because Fajuyi's body was later moved to Ado for burial. And that of Ironsi was also moved to the east. So there is no skeleton, no body in Lalupon of Fajuyi or Ironsi. But that landmark is there now.
I need to go see it someday.
Oh, please come. The day we declared it open, a son of General Ironsi came. The one who served as junior minister of defense during the Obasanjo regime. He came.
Wow. We'll take 2 calls before Chief Alabi goes. 080915 51055. 080915 51055. And 080569 98678. Those are the numbers to call. Let's hear from you. Are you watching on Edmund Obilo's pages? The ball is in your court. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Obilo.
Good morning.
God bless you. I thank God for Chief Alabi there.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma, can you please turn down the volume of your radio, sir?
I don't know whoever stopped. Sorry, let me pick up.
Mama, turn down the volume of
I
your
don't know
radio.
whoever stopped history in Nigeria. The teaching of history, they've done a very terrible thing. I think they should now let us start teaching our children history. It's very important. And even all those books you are encouraging people to read will be incorporated into the system, and the reading habits will now commence, and our children will know more about what is happening in their nation. And from there, we can even have leaders that can be used to correct the ills in this nation. God be with you. Thank you very much.
Radio man, if I may quickly say that we should give credit where it is due and when it is due. We must give it to the regime of President Major General Muhammadu Buhari for restoring history. Oh, that government restored history into school curricula after 30 years yanking by Babangida regime.
The military. So history is back in our schools.
Oh,
That's
yes.
the point.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Sir.
Good morning.
Thank you for the insight that was happening. I'm someone that loves history very, very much. The other time before you went for advert, your guest was trying to talk about an interview you had with Major Adiboyega. You said when you come back, you continue from there. But
Okay, that's true. That's true. I had the interview.